Hmm. We are live. Welcome to today's Elevate series. My name is Tziporah from ZipporahIntimacy.com, and today I am your host and ambassador of the Elevate series. A little bit about the series. We are a collective of about 20 plus global leaders from various backgrounds, some dear friends who are coming together to have these, I like to call them impactful, inspiring, and real conversations of not just what's alive in the moment, but to elevate some conversations on the planet today. And my own intentions or and hopes are to maybe offer some great tips, tools, and practices that potentially could serve you in your life now, in the midst of, if we call it a crisis or just intense change on the planet, or at any time in your life. And I'm really excited because I have a dear friend here, Shawn Roop, who is a master tantric counselor and the founder of Tantra Quest. And in a moment, I'm going to hand the baton over to him and have him talk a little bit more about what he's up to in the world. But before we go there, if you're tuning in, if you feel like these conversations might help your friends, your family, your tribe on social media, I invite you to share this. Share this either on some of your social media platforms or pages, or start your own personal watch party. And the last piece of logistics is, when I think about the original series that came together, which was facilitated by a dear friend, Amber Vilhauer, and she is the founder of NG Enterprises. I was actually really blown away and inspired by her conversations. And the intention that felt really right to me was having you as the viewer to pay it forward. And what I mean by that, like, I've created a list of various charities that my assistant will be plugging into the comments. But my invitation is you do your own research and think about and feel into your hearts, how can you pay it forward right now in your life, whether that be through a charity, through local business or grassroots organization, or maybe it's really devoting some time to helping a family member or the neighborhood right now, whatever is alive in your heart. And now, without further ado, I'd like to pass the baton over and ask you, Shawn. Shawn, welcome, first of all. Yeah. And
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you.
yeah, you as well. And tell the viewers who you are and like what your passion is in the world and how you share yourself in your work.
Mm. Thanks for that. My name is Shawn, and I've been exploring Tantra for about 20 years now. Actually, it's 20 years plus. I just got my anniversary the other day. And to me, what Tantra is about living life well. It's a series of wisdoms and invitations to find myself and to explore this life on a deeper level. And it really made a lot of sense when I found it. It just has transformed so many aspects of my world. And I didn't expect to be someone who would be sharing something like that, but my teachers had another idea around that, and I got bamboozled a few times into starting to teach and share, and it caught and it took off, and I've been doing that again for about 20 years. I'm in San Diego, and I work with individuals, I work with groups, and to me, the most passionate part about what I do is to watch people get out of their own way and find a deeper sense of self, trusting that sense of self, and then sharing that with other people in healthy ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'll
Yeah.
say, yeah, and I'll just speak is that your work continues to impact me. And I know every time I'm in San Diego, I love to do my best. I know you're really full, but to do my best to continue to receive that, because what I get reminded of through your offerings is it reminds me that it's always about coming back to me, and it's always about coming back to my own center and what I call maybe my true north. And because when I do that, now I'm more available to, one, make clear choices, but also be more available to maybe love more unconditionally, like to really want to connect and not put my agenda onto other people. And so I
Right.
appreciate
Right.
you for that offering and what you do in the world. So
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. one of the wonderful things about working with people like you is that they're not coming without already a desire or a want to explore their lives. And it's one of those wisdoms that is not always the easiest to do, because it's going to require us to go inward and take a look and remember those parts of us, and maybe the parts of us that we would rather not remember or don't like or judge. And I think that the grace of the system is to say, even that's okay, even that's okay, even that's okay. And I find that especially right now in the time we're in, like, that's some really big stuff, is to because everyone's slowing down to be able to go inside. Like, you call it true north, and I would call it our innate truth, that thing that we're born with, that's deep within. And I find that right now I'm just really witnessing and recognizing a lot of people, that innate truth, or that true north, as you were sharing, comes up and is being presented. And maybe it's new, it's a newer experience to have with that. And just like in the movie The Matrix, when he chooses to take that pill, to wake up, it's not particularly pretty. It's not bad, it's just not what we might have expected it to be like, or we might have judgments or things. But to navigate those early parts of the journey, I think, are so important personally.
Yeah. So I'm going to hold on to that. We want to come back to that. So much goodness in there. I know, like me wanting to remember everything. Like, oh, that.
Yeah.
And along the way, my assistant will, whatever she catches as well, will be plugging into the comments. So I'm curious, like, present moment, present today,
Yeah.
like, what's alive for you? What are you hearing a lot of in conversations, whether that's
Mhm.
personally with clients? What are you
Sure.
witnessing? Yeah.
I'll start with me first. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I noticed that I'm going through the waves, ups and downs. There can be depression, there can be confusion, there can be fear, there can be happiness, there can be boredom, there can be pleasure, there can be just humor. They're waves. And the important part for me is to not get stuck on one of those things and try to hold on to it more or judge it more than the other, whether it be good or bad. It's just these experiences that I'm having. So, like, today I woke up and I was kind of blue. And rather than trying to judge it or fix it and get out of the blueness, it's like I just leaned into it, just went to the blue, just went to whatever that meant for me. And what I was finding is like, oh wow, I'm really noticing that personally, I'm isolating and distancing myself emotionally right now with other people, not with myself, but with other people. And I was like, oh wow, huh? That's an effect of something that's happening in my environment that's affecting me that way. So then if I go there, then I go, oh, that makes sense why I might feel a little more disconnected, or a little more, sometimes even alienated from friends or family or even clients, because I'm finding myself distancing and isolating a bit more. That's an experience that gives me a chance to say, good, I have that now. How is it serving me? What's the wisdom to glean from this, so that I can then relax and notice that that's just a momentary thing. It's just what's happening in this moment. It's not defining me of who I am. It's just how I'm feeling. Right now, it feels like everything's moving really fast, and there's a lot of emotions that are flipping through people, and it's like, and it's hard to put all the puzzle pieces down because everything's so up in the air. So when it comes to clients and people who are close to me, I find that what I'm doing is listening and allowing them to be wherever they are, knowing this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
A little snapshot into some stuff there. Yeah.
Wow. And like the importance, what I'm getting from that, and it reminds me too of my personal process, is the importance of feeling,
Right.
which I can see how difficult that can be for many. And I'm going to share, I shared before we went live, but I sliced my finger this morning, and
Right.
it was so hard and so painful that, and I feel so much. So what I felt at first, I noticed, wow, I feel really scared. And then all of a sudden, like there was this whirl of anger, and nothing to do with my finger being sliced. And I just felt this whirl of anger. And then I just felt like I needed to scream and be really loud and emote and be heard. And then I just cried. Like it was really a lot, just really loud screeching and crying. And then I sat with that and I was just like, wow, like what a gift, because this just kind of gave me permission, like the pain experience, strangely enough, it just awakened what was already sitting inside of me, that
Yeah.
through everything that's happening right now, from everything, whatever I'm taking care of, or, I'm trying to hold the front line for so many people, and be like, oh, wow, like I need to give myself permission to feel this as well and give the space for that emoting, because I see how that was valuable for me, to also understand a deeper part of what was going on for me and where I might be withdrawing or kind of coping in certain ways.
Sure. Out of survival, right? Just
Yeah.
out of the need for like more control or comfort.
Yeah.
So what you cutting your finger to me is what I would call that as a Jenga point. Jenga, and that game with all the little blocks, and it's like it's all just falling over, and, and so that's where all these emotions that have been politely stored now get a chance to just move, and it's like squeezing the sponge, so you don't maybe have to be so full, and then your nervous system can feel a little easier, and your mind can be a little more available, and maybe all that stuffing doesn't have to be something that you have to babysit so deeply. Yeah, like that. That's the kind of stuff that Tantra really helped me to work with.
Mm-hmm. I'd love us to go further into that. And because I can say that I'm a geek in the sense that I love
Yeah.
being with my feelings, no matter what they are. Like I
Yeah.
was thinking of the other day when I had to bring
Yeah.
my mom to the hospital again. And I was
Yeah.
just like, wow, if something was horrifically wrong with her, I wouldn't want to call people. I was just like, I was actually feeling into the pleasure of sitting in her home quietly with her dog to feel all the feelings that were going to come up. And so I
Right.
find joy in that. But sharing that from a place that this might be a new idea for a lot of people, especially you talked about where things have slowed down. So it's forced many of us to feel what we haven't wanted to feel.
Right.
So I'd love you to share maybe more about the Tantra teachings, or your idea of being with those feelings and how, like, staying
Yeah.
in their core and their center.
So I'll get a little woo woo on you here. Um, so I really work deeply with the chakras from a very expansive place, and to me, it's a map to energy, to situations, and to behavior. So the second chakra is the governing area for the emotions, and the area of the second chakra is the genitals. So basically from the perineum up to the belly button. Okay. So the interesting part to this is that our sex and our emotions are intertwined, but so is creativity. So there's three really important parts of life that are all synced up into this one energy center. If I stuff my emotions, or if I don't have access to my emotions, I'm going to also be without access to my creativity. If I don't have access to my creativity, when things get really challenging, I don't have creative solutions. I'm struggling to find outside of me answers because I'm not going to my own creative nature or my knowing of how to navigate through a day-to-day existence. That also could affect my sexuality, because my sexuality is a place of endless energy. And if I'm not accessing that, then something really incredible can happen, which means I might feel closed off, or even without the battery for life that feeds so many other parts of who I am. If you notice, I'm not really going to the place of like having great grand orgasms, or the aspect of love. I'm more talking about like sex as an energetic nature that's connected to creativity and emotionality. So as a man, especially, I can notice that I have, and a lot of my brothers can be rightly identified as being emotionally unavailable. And there's a survival strategy in that. But it can really confuse a lot of the women, and like, what the hell? Why? Well, because it's a strategy to bypass some of this stuff and to not feel things. So for me, Tantra has been an invitation to feel things, even if they're considered challenging. Feeling them means I'm more connected and alive. That's a high value for me. I'm really here to live, not here to get out of here. I'm here to be here. And that benefits people around me, keeps me in my purpose, and it also helps me to weather the storms like these times, which can be very confusing and challenging on a lot of levels. So things like fear, it's just an emotion. If I hold on to that emotion, yeah. So to me, emotions are so important. So I love that you're saying, I like to lean into my emotions. I'm one that likes to work with my emotions. Unfortunately, I work with many people who don't have that availability or that muscle that's been activated. So you understand this. If you haven't gone to the gym in a while and you have a really good workout, how does it feel the next day?
It hurts.
Owie, it hurts. I can't move,
Why did I do
And so,
that? Yes.
right, yeah, that's the metaphor for going into deep emotional stuff. If someone doesn't have that muscle, that's very exercised. So it's the same thing. So sometimes you get forced into it, like you have to help someone move, and then the next day you're like, oh my gosh, Yes, because the muscles haven't been acclimated to that type of activity.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I can talk about this all day. So well, I think about that with our viewers. I'm like,
I think you have done that before.
Yes, I'm such a geek. So I'll share about the sexual energy piece again in relating to my own body and also potentially what other people might be experiencing, or at least on the onset of this. I know when all of this happened and shelter in place started, I was with my partner we were sharing a home at the time. Now I'm alone in the house, but at the onset, my natural coping mechanism is to protect. And so I literally, my sword came out, my sex pulled in, like physically. It was like a flower closing off to take care of. And I just felt every part of me needed to kind of get all my ducks in a row kind of thing for everybody around me before I can even open up. So when I recognized that, and then connected it to the creativity, like even my flow in life and feeling the armoring or the guarding or just the pulling in of energy.
Yeah.
And that was right before I started the series. And this was like, if you want to say like an orgasm for me, this was just like the allowing this door to open to allow an expression to come through, allow energy to move. And I'm sharing that particular piece for people listening that they might get stuck on just the sexual piece, right? But it's just like, no, this was a clear expansion of my energy because it was the way, it was just the way that was brought to me to open up versus the physical act of sex, which wasn't anywhere on my mind or in my body. Yeah.
I once heard a teacher share with me that tears are nothing more than an upside down orgasm.
Yes.
And if I have a limited perspective of what orgasmic energy or sexual energy is, I am missing out on so much. I'm missing out on so much. One of the greatest awakenings that I have experienced, where I felt like all my cells divided all at once and caused me to expand in such an incredible way that also is known as a Kundalini Awakening, came in the form of a really, really heavy cry. I mean, one of those cries where you're like, you know, the snot and the eyes, and you can't breathe, and the diaphragm's contracting, and one of those really, really heavy duty, I'm in pain cry. And then all of a sudden, again, that diaphragm was stuck, and all of a sudden I took in breath. And on that exhale, there was an orgasm that rushed through my body. It had nothing to do with my genitals, because I definitely wasn't aroused in that moment. But something occurred. It broke inside of me like a dam. And it went from, it was so confusing, because I went from being in such grief to all of a sudden being in a lot of pleasure energetically. And I didn't know how to compute it. My brain couldn't fit all that up. And it lasted, and I was just sitting there shaking with orgasms just rushing through my body. And now I'm starting to laugh with all this tears and snot coming down my face. And it just was a really wonderful example of moving that energy, expanding that energy, like you were just speaking to.
Yeah. I receive that a lot through myself, and when I'm working with clients, specifically with breath work. And find that, right, you mentioned the breath, like it's just breathing and finding the importance. Like if I'm in I call them a journey, to have the ability to move with those waves, to move with the cycle, rather than, you began the conversation talking about judging the emotion. So, when that energy comes up, rather than judging it, oh, I don't want to feel that, or that's bad, the breath can be such a conduit to nurture. I always think of the breath making love through our bodies. And if we stay with it and allow it to move and trust that intelligence, I find it's an intelligence, that's when if we call it orgasmic, or just those energy or those waves will start to come, and then they'll slow down, they'll come, and we're not doing anything. But that's my experience of it with the breath.
Right. And in Tantra, that's considered one of the keys is breath. That also is very well connected to sound. So breath with sound can go a long way too. So if I'm taking a deep breath in and I exhale with sound, that's an added bonus to that particular energy expansion point. If I throw intention in there, which is another key, now all of a sudden that starts to expand that. If I come to that intention to make movement, well, movement's another key. To have awareness, there's another key. Ultimately, to surrender, there's another key. And when it all wraps together, now it's about accepting. There's the last key. So there's these 7 keys that come together. So there's all these really simple things that we do, and when we put more consciousness to them, magic starts showing up. And I think that's why breathwork is such a valuable tool. Because we breathe all the time.
Yes.
And those 10 seconds that I just paused, how many breaths does the person have?
That's great.
You're curious about what?
Yeah, well, I'm curious. One, I'm curious. I'm having a little bit challenge with the Wi-Fi over here, but besides that curiosity is when you speak about, like you started talking about your own personal edges, like I asked you, what's going on for you present day life. And you talk about these keys in Tantra and these practices of bringing our attention to them and applying them. I'm curious, for you, what are some of ways that you're nurturing yourself right now, and what practices are working for you?
Hi. What are some of the ways that I'm taking care of myself?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, cool. So one of the more to be more mindful to slow down and to be accepting for wherever I'm at. Practice-wise, that can come forth in the chanting. I might do some chanting. That might come forth in it's a meditation, eating some nice food. So I'm a really practical spiritual person. I don't have these deep-seated practices that require lots of instruction and a whole bunch of mastery to do something. My desire is to be in the constant opportunity in every act that I'm doing, whether it's the shower I take, or whether it's that check I'm writing, or whether it's the food I'm putting together, preparing, or even the frustration of reading some news. Like, it's all part of it. It doesn't end. So someone was asked me, can you please give me the top tantric technique or practice? And I said awareness. And they were so bummed out because it wasn't the juicy, sexy, big, shiny thing. They wanted something really cool. And I said, awareness will take me as a practitioner of Tantra to the most incredible places. And it's going on every breath, every moment, right here, right now. All the time. And I'm so thankful that I'm willing to explore that. And how I do that is tuning in with myself, being in the sense of embodiment. Like, I listen to my body and I let my body give my mind information rather than my mind giving my body information. I go the other way around. I flip that around. I take and receive the world through my body, and then my body gives it to the mind without all the filters of the mind, all those projections and associations and experiences. I start to have a different experience of what's real and what's not. And then I can find deeper places to connect to that. Awareness, 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 awareness. So it's kind of going on all the time. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I would be with my guru. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to share that, in a time, especially that can be, there's so much noise, right? There's so much noise coming in. And what a breath of fresh air the simplicity is. For me, I find that's where we find magic is in the simplicity. And at least where I find magic. And
Yeah.
and I also find, like, in this time, like, how easy that is. Well, I'm thinking, well, in my mind, it's easy to apply these simple practices of being aware in every moment. And I guess, and when I said that, I was just thinking, wow, no, I guess if it was easy, everyone would naturally be doing it. And that just kind of, it's like, oh no, it's new and different for people. Yeah.
I mean, Tziporah, it's so incredible to me to witness. After 20 years of sharing this information, the simplest tools are usually denied as important. They're actually pushed away because they're not that big. And what you were just sharing was something that was offered to me too, which is that the simplest techniques are the ones that are going to take you to the most magic. The more complicated techniques will take you closer to your mind. That's what was taught to me. And so in my early years of teaching, I felt that there's not enough value. There's not enough value in just talking about awareness. It's not sexy enough, like I was saying. So I have to create a whole bunch of exercises and tools and experiences for people to have that. So then they have it. They go to a class. They have it for a weekend, and then, like, wow, Really great. Love it. That's really amazing. Thank you so much. And they go home and they put those, it kind of stays with them like a lingering fragrance. It stays with them and then the fragrance goes away. So then they have to go to another class to remember again. Because the reason why is I was making it so complicated for people. I was giving them lots and lots of really complicated exercises and techniques. So then I started saying, well, what if I just made it simple and just did that? And something amazing started happening. People started responding. It was so incredible. It was sticking. People were actually having the experience well after the workshop or well after the session. And that was amazing. It's so simple. Yeah.
Because reaching the body, like you've spoken to reaching the body versus the mind going through here, right? And for me, that's what I find is the sticking point, right? When we are actually, it's like when we're not doing the practices, right? But we're actually feeling the practice. Like for me, it's literally like it's a living, breathing thing inside of me. That's how I would describe it and experience it.
Beingness with it, right? So some people, again, I told you that I like to share about the chakras, like they're really important to me. When I go into them, I can get really nerdy, like you were talking about. I can get really nerdy about the chakras. I really like the chakras. But whatever, if someone doesn't have a relationship with this thing called a chakra, it's just academic at that point. And there's a lot of, the mind will go, well, I don't know. I mean, there's these things. I don't know if they're real or not, but okay, I'm here. I'll go through these practices. But if someone has a relationship with the chakras and then they go through the practices, oh my heavens, everything changes. Because there's a relationship to it. So I understand that you have a relationship to breath work. Because it really makes sense to you, and you've been doing it, and it's like it's your ally. And you've inquired into it, and you've gone into that, and you've really experienced it. It's so cool, right? So there's a lot of people like, oh, breath work, huh? Yeah. Or meditation. There's a good one. Oh, meditation. That was hard. Have a relationship with that thing first, and then you will find all the subtle details of it. And then all of a sudden there's a relationship to it rather than it just being something you're told to do or something you should do.
I like that piece. Have a relationship with it. That just stuck with me.
That's why you're an inspiration to me. Because you have a relationship to magic. You have a relationship to relationships. You have a relationship to breath work. You have a relationship with your body. Like that shows up. And so when I'm hanging out with you, it's like, oh, a human being that's really having a relationship with certain parts of life. And that's where she's accessing things. So cool. Because some people I get around with, they're just questioning things. Questioning. It's mental masturbation. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's great.
Yeah. But the embodiment piece is really cool. Embodying it, having a relationship with it. It's just a really different quality.
Yeah. There's something that came up that I'd like to toss at you a bit is when the embodiment is there, like speaking through my own experience, that also gives me, what's the word? It just gives me, because it makes me feel centered if I'm embodied. That means if someone else, I'm going to use just like mental masturbation, if that's someone else's choice, I could be more present to accepting their choice. I don't have to agree with it. I mean, it might not be for me, but I'm not judging that choice when I'm embodied. I just want to go in that direction because to me, that's what embodiment offers me.
Love it. Totally. Yeah. Totally. And I think that that's one of the wonderful things about having that embodiment offers the opportunity for such diversity in life. Because exactly what you said, I'm home. Just like we're talking about at the very beginning, this innate truth. I'm in my innate truth. I can't give it, nor can I take it. No one can take it from me. It's just mine. I'm just sitting in me. So then someone can be themselves wherever they are. And it's like, oh, it's cool. Because I'm not seeking validation or love or friendship or even enemyship. I'm just like, it's groovy. Like, you can do you. That's great. Yeah. I'm freed at that point. Embodiment offers me a sense of liberation and freedom that's way beyond something that is patriotic. That's for sure.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
sustainable.
Yeah.
It's installed deep within who I truly am. Yeah. I offer a practice to some people along this line. And I have them create a list of 5 to 10 elements of who they are at the core level. And what I mean by that is when we were at our soulful, most core level, the one that we were born with, the things that can't be taken from us nor can be given, things like we're loving, things like we're in interest to things like we're kind, these type of stuff. That when I have a list that I can look at, and then I am in a situation in life, and I have to make a choice. The real simple way to do this is like you take your list and you look at the choice and you go, does that choice take me closer to my list or does it take me away from my list? Because by choosing stuff that goes closer to the list says I'm embodying my choice. And that's to me is a lot of freedom.
I love that. I'm typing it in the comments for people.
Okay.
I'm beating my assistant to it. I was like, oh, I got to plug this one. I love that. You did a live on it, and I actually listened and I did the practice. I really appreciated that. It was so concise. It was so clear. It was so to the point. And I find it's a great way for people to access, to gain awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be worked on anything, even including like what to eat for dinner tonight. I'm serious. It can be that simple. Just as much as all the big choices.
Okay.
That might come in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so nice having this conversation with you and sharing it with the world.
I so appreciate you inviting me on to kind of explore this stuff and share and have people be voyeurs to our conversation here.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Why not? Go big.
Yeah.
Do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to leave the viewers with?
Whatever you think you are, you're more than that. Whatever story you can make up, whatever title you want to hold, you're more than that. You're way, way more than that. And the reason why I share this is because it's so easy to feel alone or to feel lost or to feel alienated. And during this time of quarantines for people or stay at homes, it's really easy to feel disconnected. This is an opportunity in a really special time to double down and go inward and really find that you're more than whatever story that someone else has given you or what you think. I think that's a very, very important thing right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Shawn, where can people find you? Can you plug your website?
Yeah. Oh, I'm at home right now.
Did they just call you? Hi, Shawn.
You can come by. It's fine.
He's in San Diego. We'll plug his address for you. 6 feet away, but
you can find me at yeah. Okay. I'm at tantraquest.com, TANTRA quest.com. And also I'm on social media under that same name, Tantra Quest. It's easy to type my name in, Shawn Roop, to Google and find all my stuff as well. It's pretty easy to find me. And I do work with people right now. I'm working with people on Zoom and helping people to navigate the stuff that's going on in life, and continue trainings. Some people work with me with really advanced life practices. So I work with people and couples, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And for those of you who
Yeah.
love this stuff as well, as much as we do, and feel called to continue the Elevate series, you can find us over at Soulful Relating Institute with Tziporah. And what I have learned is if you follow the page, you actually get the announcements. I'm still learning all the crazy tech stuff, but you'll get the announcements of when we go live. I will be going live with different guests on Tuesdays and Fridays at roughly around 3:15 p.m. Pacific Coast time. So I look forward to tuning in with all of you again soon. And thank you, Shawn, so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes. More.
So nice to have. It's so nice to be on.
Yeah.
It sounds good. Anytime.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.